We have led, I tell you what, Brian, I reckon we've had one of our best weeks ever. Ever on the run home with Joel and Fletch.
It's not finished yet.
It's not finished.
Were you saying this before Bossy walked in?
Every day this week we have been on absolute chariots of fire, Martin of fire. We have been seeing them like beach balls. No. First hour, Matty Johns podcast. You can catch up with that. But don't worry about the podcast. YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. You'll see Matty Johns with myself and Bears Head Brian Fletcher, and you'll get this very chat right here. I might have my shirt off by the end of it. It's the run home with Joel and Fletch. Tomorrow, there's notes about tomorrow. I don't give a rat's about tomorrow. It's the power of now. Eckhart Tolle. Live in the moment, the power of now. We have got Glen Boss, an ornament for Australia. Well, not just sport, Australia. I'll say full stop. He's got a podcast that's called Who's the Boss, co-hosted by Julie Schnook, champion lady as well. Here's a little taste from the chat with Gay Waterhouse.
Some of the owners you've had over you, I spoke to him today at length, Singo, and his fondness for you, Gay, is immeasurable. When he talked, you can hear in his voice. I said, I'm going to have Gay on today on my podcast, and you could just tell his voice lit up. He went, make sure you say good day to her for me, which I will. But he's been ever consistent throughout your career.
Very much so. He's been a great, even though we've had some tumultuous times. And one funny time, it wasn't funny at the time, it was far from it, but I had more joyous, and I wanted her to run in the Doncaster because I knew she'd win it with her eyes shut. Yep. And he had been advised not to run her by his racing advisor, and so I really had an uphill battle. And I rang him and I said, look, she's a good thing. She's an absolute lay-down mazere. There's no discussion. You've just got to let me run her. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I said, he said something, if she doesn't win, I'm sacking you. I said, well, you sack jockey, you sack trainers like you sack your wives.
Yeah.
That was not quite the right thing to say. He blew up and went ballistic at me.
Mark clearly knows my affection towards Nathan Blacklock, the great dragon, and he says this, Joel, imagine Bossy jelly wrestling with Tinga Nathan Blacklock. Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, absolute Australian sporting royalty, the great man, Glen Boss, joins the run home with Joel and Fletch, Brian.
Thanks, Fletch.
Hello, Bossy.
Mate,
how are you, brother?
Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, mate, welcome aboard.
Yeah, mate. What
in
about
studio.
This? I know.
Last time we spoke to you, and as I've shared with you before, the number one day in my year is the Melbourne Cup day. I don't know why. My parents didn't punt. I remember being Newbridge. We bought a pub at Newbridge. Population of 85 people. We go to the Newbridge Public School. There was 11 children there. 5 of them were us. And I'd sit there on the cricket pitch, which was overgrown with grass. My youngest sister was in kindergarten. My next youngest brother was in year 5. And I'd have the big orange witch's hat to call the 1991 Melbourne Cup, where Sedestin was the top weight, right? Letchalope would ultimately win the race. Yep. Superimposed runs 4th.
Yep.
Mick Dittman running around in those days, and I'd be in there and I'd be calling, I don't know why, the Melbourne Cup of 1991 as maybe a 12-year-old. And now you fast forward from that population of 85, and I'm in a studio with you, Bears Head, and the great man Glen Boss, who in my opinion is the greatest Melbourne Cup jockey of all time.
What a story. That's gold, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it does for you, that race, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Why does it get you? What is it about that race? How did it get you before it got you being a jockey? When did the Melbourne Cup first get you, Glen Boss?
Oh, as you start this journey to be a jockey as an apprentice, that's the only thing you want to have. Honestly, it's a holy grail.
So if that in rugby league parlance, is it a premiership or is it a state of origin?
State of origin.
State of origin, okay.
Yeah, it's bigger than a premiership.
Yeah.
It's a state of origin. Even state of origin is talked about as being bigger than playing representing your country, which says a lot, right? Yeah. But this is our only trophy, and a Cox Plate's probably a short half head away from it, but this is the one that you want to have on your CV because, it's a worldwide audience now. It's such a world event, and for 5 minutes on the first Tuesday in November, everyone becomes Australians. Like they forget their gender, they forget their race, they forget whatever they're doing, and they sit down and they watch a bloody horse race.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. And it gives them joy for a moment. So it affects, and that's happening around the world now. So it's got a massive effect.
How did it feel that week leading into a Melbourne Cup? What I mean by that is the other jockeys. Could you sense it?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're a bit dirty on them, or you're not dirty on them, but you're not really sort of chatting with him, it's a little bit different?
The build-up's huge.
Yeah.
It starts, they do the parade, and there's all sorts of stuff. But on the actual day, it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
It's just like the volume just got turned up 10 times. Everyone's a little bit more nervous, a little bit edgy. It's a big event. And probably about 10 minutes before we're about to go out, the whole bloody room goes dead quiet.
Yeah.
Like you hear a few little jokes getting around here and there, but generally everyone's in their own spot. They're just trying to clear their mind, because no other race does that for you. Maybe a Cox Plate, but this is the race that you just go out there and the only thing you want to do, it's like all you want to do is get on the paddock.
Yeah.
Because then all the bullshit disappears.
Yeah.
Like, all the noise, because you've done the prep, all we want to do is get on the horse.
Yep.
And then all the noise just disappears. And it's just you and the horse, go and do your job.
Hey, Bossy, like for yours, your story, and most of the world knows your story, but for every story behind a Melbourne Cup, people have got their own stories. I remember last year, I'm walking through Pitt Street, and I definitely know who won the Cup, which you tipped without a fight. And this guy who didn't even watch a race, he said, "Oh, by the way, who won the Melbourne Cup? I backed without a fight." And I've tapped him on the back and said, you won the Melbourne Cup, mate. Yeah. You won the Melbourne Cup. But the stories that you have, so your first Melbourne Cup, with Makybe Diva, and my story would be the whole of the London Broncos come out, and they all stay at my place. And they said, who's going to win this Melbourne Cup? We're all going to Randwick to watch the Melbourne Cup. And I've done all the form. And I said, boys, Makybe Diva will win the Melbourne Cup. So we go to the racetrack, and all the boys, Makybe Diva, Makybe Diva, Makybe Diva. My second pick was a horse called Pentastic. So we go there, and I go to Warren Woodcock, who's got a stand there at Randwick. And the boys have already loaded up on Makybe Diva. And I felt treacherous about this, right? Just as I've backed Makybe Diva, Pentastic has wound out a bit. And I've walked away, and I stopped and went, oh, that's telling me something. I said to Warren, I said, mate, do you mind if I change my bet from Makybe Diva to Pentastic?
You should never do this.
And he said, no problem, right? So down they come the straight. 2004, you're going to win this Melbourne Cup with Makybe Diva. I have been jumped upon by the whole London. They won't even know this story to this day. They've all jumped onto me, Jolie, we've won the Melbourne Cup. And I've got it each way. And I'm just watching there because Pentastic said, hang on for a place. And then the bloody English import, Jardine's Lookout, comes from nowhere.
Yeah.
I left the track with nothing, and the whole night,
sucked in.
The whole London Broncos think that I have won the Melbourne Cup.
Won a fortune.
But tell us about that first Melbourne Cup.
Oh, well, taking back, I rode Pentastic the year before and ran 4th or 5th on it.
Yeah.
And I was going to ride him that year. But David Hall said to me, we got this mare, Makybe Diva, would you like to jump on her? And he said, well, I said, oh, for sure, because I was riding a very good mare called Republic Lass, who was the headline act. She was one of the favourites of the Melbourne Cup, trained by the late Guy Walter, and she had an injury, so she went wrong. So then I was looking for a ride. Next thing I end up asked to ride this Makybe Diva, and David Hall said, I need you down there the Thursday before the Caulfield Cup, because we're going to run in the Caulfield Cup, and we'll see if she's good enough to win the Melbourne Cup. I said, good as gold. So I got introduced to her the Tuesday before the Caulfield Cup, and I'd ridden some superstars of the turf already. Never a champion, but I'd ridden bordering champions up to this point. When I got on her, I knew within 100 metres, this is something different.
Honestly, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What is it? What is it about the horse that you know?
I get goosebumps. Like it's like if you've driven a really good car most of your life,
Hyundai,
and that's a Smith car.
Like a Hyundai?
Yeah, whatever. And someone gives you the keys to a Bentley for the day, and they say, go and have a drive, and you go, what the F? Like you're surrounded by everything.
Is it the smoothness of it?
It's just the effortless power.
Right.
It's just, and so she had this.
Can I ask you this, Bossy? Sorry to interrupt. Who was riding before you took the Bentley?
Before I rode her?
Yeah.
Vinnie Hall rode her. Luke Curry rode her a couple of times.
In hindsight, did they have a similar Bentley experience? Or
they kind of had a... Listen, they probably hadn't ridden the horseflesh I'd ridden in the 15 years before, so I had a very good handle on what is...
better benchmark.
But it's like when you get to this level, they can all run fast over a long trip. But it's what they do after they do the gallop. It's what I'm very interested in. It's what I'm trying to get at. Is she finished a 2,000-metre gallop that morning, and after I pulled her up, she took 2 massive breathes like that, and her heart rate under the saddle, her heart rate just comes really quickly down, and her breathing become normal within about 5 to 10 seconds.
Which is unusual.
So she had an aerobic capacity. like I'd never felt before. So I'm thinking, man, we can't hurt this thing.
Wow.
Because it just went like that and said, okay, where are we going now?
Yeah.
And it's like, I won't tell you what I said.
Yeah.
But I come back and David said she went good on the clock, and I said to David, I said, mate, you've got no idea what you've got here.
Yeah.
This could be a serious horse. And she drew 24 out of 24 in that Caulfield Cup. Went back to last, she rattled home and ran fourth, and then we were just going, okay, this can win the Melbourne Cup. She had 51 kilos. So the wheels are in motion, and she never let us down. We had a good plan going into the race, and I executed the plan pretty well. But that was the birth of what we've seen, Makybe Diva. She was still not finished after that first Cup. From when I first started riding her, she was about 470 kilos, 470. Quite tall, but no muscle.
Yeah.
She ended up racing about 540.
Wow.
So in that 3-year period, she put on that much weight. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
Just so power, more weight, more power, more strength, faster you are,
Bossy, you could argue it's the most watched sport in Australia. So the crowd is full, 100,000+, 2004, 2003 rather. You come around the bend. At what stage are you riding this Bentley and you go, holy shite, Batman, I'm going to win the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah.
When did you know?
Oh, on the first one, when I let the shackles go, when I released her, she had this amazing ability to just, throughout the race, just completely relax. Like, it wouldn't touch the bridle. And I used to talk to her a lot. If she got a little bit antsy, I'd say, woo, mum, and one ear would come back every time. And that would just take her out of that spot.
Is that right?
Oh, she'd just listen to you the whole way. And so when I straightened her and go, give her that, she didn't have any lag period. Like most horses take a little bit to hit to their top. She was within 2 or 3 strides. She went from 3/4, that sort of relaxed state, to top speed. No lag time. It was incredible. So I was able to just sit there longer and longer waiting, going, oh, look at them all, going too early, whatever, and just pick me way. And once I got to clean air, just go like that and just went. She had this ability just to do it so quick. Wow. So we knew we had something very special. That she would, if there was a Group 1 sprint on the day, over all those years they've used this race, is a Group 1 sprint. She ran over 1.5 miles or 2 miles. She ran better sectionals than the sprinters on the day. Over her last half mile, 600 and 400 and 200. She was quicker.
Wow.
Do you think she realised it was you the second time? Like when you jumped on her, do horses sort of get an inkling that they know who you are?
Yeah, they have senses. See, they are hypersensitive animals. They've got more senses than dogs. They're like dogs, but they got more senses.
Really?
Because, in the wild, they haven't got fangs, teeth. They haven't got anything to protect themselves. The only thing they have is unbelievable senses. Hearing, sight, smell, and this ability to, in the wild, if they're threatened, they have about, they say, a couple of kilos of this pure blood in that they release into their spleen, which makes them run faster than ever. It's
when they're in danger.
When they're in danger, they drop this blood into their spleen, and it gives them this burst, and they can jump higher, they can run faster. So they have these hypersenses, which people don't understand. So when you get to know these animals and they know your voice and they know who you are, and you make them feel very comfortable, there's a big bond that builds up in a lot of trust.
Yep.
They trust you and you trust them. It's quite a remarkable synergy that you have. It's really cool. When you get to that place with this 500 and 550 kilo animal, they could take you out in a heartbeat, but they just like putty in your head.
Can they go the other way? Can they be nasty
to you? If you treat them badly, you'll never get them back. They like a dog. If you give a dog one,
clip them,
you never get them back.
Right.
They'll always be wary of you.
Yeah.
The horses are the same.
Bossy, we'll talk about the defence of the title. We'll talk about the three-peat.
Yeah.
But before we go to the break, can we ask you about, is it a life changer? Like you've just finished, you've come off. This is your first Melbourne Cup, 2003, Makybe Diva. Tell us about the night, the next day. This is like amazing.
Yeah. It changes your life. It 100% changes your life because you can win all the great races around their calendar and around the world, but if you win a Melbourne Cup, you just walk to a beat of a different drum. You're just a different person. You're a Melbourne Cup winner.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Wow. Tell us about
How do
Mark
you walk
Zahra.
when you've won 3? With a limp.
Yeah. With a limp. Mate. You walk real good.
Bossy, a bloke who hasn't done the three-peat, but he's on a three-peat, is Mark Zahra wins with Gold Trip.
Yep.
And then everyone just assumed the top weight, which you rode the top weight, that he'd just have to go and defend the title. But you spoke to us, not in the studio. We're blessed to have you in the studio. It's on YouTube if you want to catch up with Glen Boss talking about Melbourne Cup. But I think you may have had something to say to Mark about the without a fight ride.
Yeah, well, he was asking me a lot of questions, and he has been. And after that horse won the Caulfield Cup, he was still undecided. I said, mate, there's absolutely, if you don't ride that horse in the Melbourne Cup, I will kick your balls.
Why so?
Because he stood out to me like dog's balls. He just stood out. I said, what he did in the Caulfield Cup, he pulled, he did everything wrong, and at the end of the race, he was still running through the line and running away from them.
Yeah. What's
he going to do over 2 mile? And I had a very big question mark on Gold Trip. I didn't like the way he was hanging in his races. Yep. Under pressure, he was going in, going left. And I said, mate, I don't like that. And he said, oh, he's still a good horse. I got feelings for him. I said, mate, you're in a business now. This is not about feelings.
Wow.
You push those bullshit things aside. You're running a business right now.
Can I ask you, Bossy, is this a coffee? Is this a phone call?
No, phone call. I said, and when we meet each other, I said, this is a business, mate. You're in there to win.
Yeah.
Loyalty, and it's a nice thing to have. But you're trying to win a Melbourne Cup. I said, you have to ride that horse. He said, okay. Anyway, he ended up riding Gold Trip in the Cox Plate. And he hung badly with him. But
this conversation before that?
Oh, this is well before that.
Oh,
this is after the Caulfield Cup.
Really?
And he said, you were right. Anyway, he got on that horse and he come out and smashed him. And he was a proper horse. So I went back to when he won in the winter up at Eagle Farm. He won that QE22 race, what it was. And I've never seen a horse be so fierce in a race and do everything wrong to get beat, but still win by 3. Like in a Group 1 race, right? In a proper race. I said, mate, this is a horse with stamina, because horses shouldn't do that and still be strong. So that showed me that horse has got so much stamina. So that's your Melbourne Cup horse.
I think my Melbourne Cup horse is whoever M. Zahra's riding, Brian.
Hey, Bossy, were you destined to be a jockey? Is it in the family?
No, I'm the only one, and there won't be another one in my family. So, listen, it found me one day. I went to I rode since I was 3 or 4. We were farmers. I went to the races with my grandmother. Didn't know what the races were. And you know when there's a moment in your life where you know that it's changed, that is a moment changed your life. There was a race being run, and my grandmother and myself pulled up in the car. And as the race was being run, I jumped out of the car and I ran to the outside rail. And if you've ever stood ground level, when 10 horses are going around a corner and the ground actually moves, the sound is amazing. And I went, I'm doing that.
Wow. How old were you?
I was 15. Wow. I was halfway through grade 10 at Caboolture High School.
Had you ridden many horses at all till then?
Oh, no, I was ridden since I was 3. Yeah. I was ridden all my life. Okay. I was a very good horse rider.
But working? Like, you were like at the farm?
I was working on the farm.
Yeah, but that's any time you rode the horse.
Yeah. So, and pony clubs and shows and all that stuff. I was halfway through grade 10 in Caboolture High School. I went back on the Monday after Saturday. I told my teachers I was quitting school. I went back and told my mum that afternoon I'd quit school. And it was a week later, I was back up in Gympie with my grandmother to get an apprenticeship. That's how quick it was. Yeah. I said, I'm doing this.
So was it that feeling of the ground and of them running the speed?
The speed, and I thought,
Brian.
Yeah.
So what about now?
Hang on, Brian. The fun. The fun. What do you mean 1 sec? I've got to have him for 7 hours.
Yeah.
We've got a break.
Okay.
Just keep your
Do we have to?
Yeah, we've got a break, unfortunately. But we're going nowhere. Glen Boss, champion sportsman, champion jockey. He's staying here on the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. It's the Run Home with Joel and Fletch and the podcast, Who's the Boss? Download that. By the way, co-hosted by Julie Schnook, who's an absolute talent when it comes to the media. Just before we get on to the defence of 2004, and of course that famous moment where Excellent runs to second, Honor-Jeune runs on, but a champion becomes a legend. Let's ask you this, G Boss. There's a few questions coming through. This one comes through and it says, Glenn, can you tell us about, was there a near miss in the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, I was riding in Hong Kong and I come back to ride a mare called Champagne. Oh. And I give her a good ride. I presented at the right time and she was going to win my first Melbourne Cup, and I could actually picture holding this thing. And she went wrong about 100 metres before the line. And Chris Munsell and Jezebel just kept whacking away, and I got beat. The pain that went through me, I went back into the rooms. I broke my whip, threw my helmet up against the wall, and I went into the bathrooms, and I was actually ill. I was physically vomiting.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop until I had nothing left. And you know that vial
After the race?
After the race.
Oh.
And it took me about a month to get over it. It was shocking. So that's what it means a lot to you, right?
I hope you're over it because I had the whole...
Oh, mate, three times.
Well, can I interrupt?
No, hang on, bro. No.
Hawkesbury race 7.
Yeah.
This is an omen.
Has to be right.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is an omen. Race 7 is about to jump, and number 3 is called Boss.
It's 3.
And it's number 3.
What the hell?
And it's number 3.
Okay.
You can't make
1,
this shit
2,
up.
3. What are you really gambling? What's it really costing
The
you?
more you put on, the more you get back.
Yeah, that's right.
Bang, bang, bang.
So just to remind you of something. So I've just come from the Dragons with the Balmain Tigers. They know I'm a sicko for Melbourne Cup, and they said, Jolie, what's the tip? I got the whole team on this horse wearing the yellow and red called Champagne.
Oh, stop
100 metres out. Chris Muntz is there on the rail, and this beautiful horse just trots up on the outside with G-Boss on board, and it's going to win the Melbourne Cup. I showed Brian the race today and I said, who wins this, right? And I couldn't. This is what happened.
But you think she...
Sorry,
no one
Bossy.
knows.
Sorry, Bossy. One sec.
Comes Champagne and
don't
Torfin's
do this
Melody
to me.
is coming with her. Jezebel tackled by Champagne now. They reach the 200 metres. The New Zealand mares together. Jezebel and Champagne. Yorkshire pushing through from Torfin's Melody. Persian Punch. Champagne from Jezebel. Champagne and Jezebel kicking back. Jezebel kicks on the inside. Jezebel beat Champagne and New Zealand Quinella. Persian Punch third from Yorkshire.
Champagne broke down that day. She never raced again. That was a bad part about it.
Yeah.
She went wrong, and
During the race, like, did you feel it?
I felt it shorten up underneath me with about 150 to go, 100, and I was willing her to get over the line,
Yeah.
and I was absolutely doing my best to just kind of keep a balance so she could try and keep.
If she doesn't break down.
Oh, she wins. Yeah, I win by a half a length because she was surging past Jezebel, and then I felt it went. As soon as I got to him and past him, it just went. I thought, oh no,
You're the mock.
Don't.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah,
You've mocked it.
2004, you defend the championship.
Yeah.
2005.
Oh.
Now you, the horse, are superstars. What was the one you were most confident of, the defence or the three-peat?
Oh, the three-peat. Because when we went for the defence, we met Vinnie Rowe, who was the world's best two-miler.
Dermot World.
We didn't know. I just happened to give her an amazing ride. I went around one horse over 2 mile, and he went around the whole field, and that's what won me the race. But the third one, like, she was airborne that prep. She'd come off the back of winning that amazing Cox Plate, just put him to bed, and then, mate, it was all over. She just went like that. I worked to bed that night on Monday night for Tuesday, knowing that I was going to win.
Did you?
My only job was not to disappoint her.
How did you handle the pressure?
Oh, I loved it.
The whole country was...
I loved it. I was so into it, but I was so willing. I was opening myself up to say that this is going to happen. All I have to do is just keep my powder dry.
But a mare, I don't think it ever carried that weight in the Melbourne
58
Cup.
kilos. But I knew how good she was. My only job was to not disappoint her. That's all I had to do. So my job became very easy. Just relax, enjoy the ride, and not disappoint her.
My final question, because I've bombarded you, and then Brian can have his final say.
Oh, I didn't know you were here.
I know you got to go to the airport.
You two should just embrace.
And
get a room.
Yes, please. Yes,
Please put your pants back on, Joel.
Put your shirt back on.
Can I ask you this?
Good rig.
Was there a moment in that last race with the whole country, right, on the back? Was there a sliding doors moment where you made a call that was 50-50 in hindsight of that race, where had you went the other way, maybe it doesn't happen, or
not really, not throughout the whole race. I was so confident where I went.
It all went to plan.
It all went to plan. But the funniest thing that happened when I presented her, and she just let go. When horses gallop, Fletch, their first foot hits the ground, it's called breaking stride. So you'll go from doing about 70k to about 66. They slow down by about 3 or 4 k's because they just break stride. Yeah. And in that moment, you go from the wind rushing to you to an absolute silence for a split second. Like, I'm talking a millisecond. But in that moment, I can hear the call. Oh. And I can hear the crowd. So I'm hearing the call. Yeah. The whole way down the straight. And I was going, I'm freaking out because I've never heard this before. Because I knew I was home. So I just sort of relaxed and enjoyed that last 300 metres. Wow. And all of a sudden, I could hear the call in that breaking of stride. It was like the weirdest sensation. I'd never felt it and never felt it after that. Yeah. But in that moment, just to have that presence, because all I was thinking about was this great athlete underneath me. And look at it, we're home, beautiful. We're going to just put out 31. And I was like, this weird sensation was happening.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy stuff.
Now that's the Melbourne Cup, though, Brian. So it's Lee Friedman's greatest moment of his time. It's Greg Miles' greatest moment of his career. It's Glenn's greatest moment. Makybe Diva's greatest moment. The many punters who have got the trifecta or picked the winner for the third time. I didn't back it once because I backed Fantastic.
You remember the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You remember it. Now, Who's the Boss podcast? You've had Alfie on. You've had Sterlo on.
My best mate.
You and Alfie.
Yeah.
How long have you known each other?
I met Alan when I was 18.
Yep.
He carried me out of a nightclub when we first met.
Who was carrying him out?
No. and we become best mates, and we've known each other ever since. And through the good, the bad, we've been there together with everything. He was my best man at my wedding, and he's truly my best mate.
Yeah.
And we talk 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we just laugh. I've never had, even with 3 ups and downs that we've both had throughout our lives, we've always had fun together.
Yeah.
Like 2 kids,
and
just enjoy each other's company. But he's definitely my best mate, and for having him on as my first guest on my podcast was just a thrill.
Was he quite open?
Not as open as he is with me privately, because Alan's quite as we all see Alan, that's lunatic fun bloke. Yeah. He's actually quite reserved. He's quite a bit shy
and scared of the dark.
Yes, and blood.
Scared of blood?
Oh, mate, he faints when he sees blood.
Does he?
Oh, my God. His own blood, he's just gone. But he's scared of the dark.
They should have done that back in the day.
Yeah.
He's quite the character.
Oh, he's the best.
But at the end of it, he's a beautiful human being. Like, he's loved by everyone. And, like, can you imagine a bloke who's an inch below him? And he was tackling blokes like you.
Yeah.
Like, not many blokes got past him in a tackle.
No. Who else we got coming? I know you got Sterlo. Who else we got coming up?
Gay Waterhouse.
Yeah.
She was unbelievable. Love Gay. Darren Beedman, Jimmy Cassidy. I got a big list. Just go through my phone.
Yeah.
Get people.
When am I on? Sorry.
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, Bossy, a quick one. How was it riding in like Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Was that fun?
Yeah, I did.
Or was it a bit?
It was fun.
Yeah.
I did a few stints over there.
Yeah.
For quite a few years, and it didn't suit me though.
No.
I love riding good horses in big races and big moments, and I couldn't get that over there.
Okay, we've got to go.
Just to go.
Bossy, if you want to hear more of Bossy, Who's the Boss is the podcast. Glen Boss, thanks
Loved
for
it.
joining
Thanks,
the run home
guys.
with Joel and Fletch.
Pleasure.